Hello everybody. Welcome. I'm Bradley from RaceBeacon and we are going to be bringing live coverage now. We're only 18 and a half hours away from the scheduled time for the Saudi Grand Prix qualifying session. However, it does appear, and the drivers have been in a meeting for nearly 3 hours now, that there is a lot of discussion about whether or not this race will go ahead. Even as far as FP3 and qualifying. So, hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Hello to everyone in the chat. I'm going to quickly have to zoom in a bit so I can actually read what the hell is going on. Hello everyone, hello Astrolife. I thought they said they're not. This is late. I know it's late. But I'm going to be awake for many more hours anyway. So that's the joy of being a student. I read something similar to, yeah, so what we're seeing at the moment, the drivers are in a 3-hour meeting after Houthi rebel attacks on the Aramco oil refinery in Jeddah. A matter of tens of kilometres away from the circuit. And yeah, this is what's going on. Team bosses still at the track and now showing up. This has taken a turn. So now team bosses are turning up to the track now. So what's happened? Straight from FP2. Okay, right. I'm going to go through the whole story because I know people are joining. A lot of people won't know. Hello, what more should I do for my hockey sticker? I discussed what says it's not cancelled. No, I know, and they've said it's not cancelled. But team bosses are now returning to this meeting. We can see. Let me bring it up on the Twitter feed for you. Team bosses are returning now to this meeting. Some team principals back in the room. Here we go. So back in the room now. Some of the team bosses are coming back into this meeting. Loads of pictures come out. And I know it goes against what the FIA said, but this meeting has been going on for nearly 3 hours now between the drivers. Some of them are still in their race suits from FP2. They went straight from FP2 to their debrief with their team to this meeting. So some drivers in there have not left since the end of FP2. So yeah, this is pretty big stuff, and that's why I'm doing this, is because this is as big as some of the F1 news gets, to be honest. So yeah, I'll be covering all of this through however much whatever happens. I mean, obviously I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know why the chat's not working either. There should be a chat on the left hand side, but that's just not working. Yeah, no cheers for that, Streamlabs. Cheers for that. That's great. Okay, so we've got no chat on the left-hand side, but, you know, it's sort of beside the point anyway. I'll be reading it. But yes. Hello, everyone. It's great to be back live. How are you all doing? Why is this happening? I don't think it's looking good for a race, to be fair. No, I mean, I thought until a few minutes ago, now we have the team principals back in. It's either a, hey, get your drivers sorted out, or what? I don't really know. Right, I'm trying to keep up to date with all the news that's going on at the same time. What we got? Statement. That's from earlier on today from the Saudi Motorsport Company. That was earlier today. So yeah, we've got more pictures of some of the team principals return out. Clickbait, it is absolutely not. This race is very much in the balance now. There's a very real chance this race can be... I promise, it goes against what's been said before, but this is by no means clickbait. Look, team principals are now returning. It's almost, what, 1 a.m. in the morning there now? Yeah, and the team bosses are coming back. So yeah, this is starting to look a lot less optimistic than I thought it was going to be a few minutes ago. Get live milk FPG. Chandler, I need money. Okay. It's not cars. Missile attack on all. Yes, it was exactly. Have I seen what Seb said? No, I haven't actually seen what Seb said, to be honest. I haven't seen. I've just sort of come on live basically the second I saw that we're going to get some team principals starting to come back, and that the drivers and the big heads of F1 as well. So Ross and Stefano, they left for a bit, but I believe they're actually back in now. So I think they've gone back in. But yeah, no, this isn't looking particularly optimistic for the race, if I'm going to be honest. In my personal opinion, actually, I don't really want to get to my personal opinion, but I mean, I don't know. What's right? I'll put what Seb said. Ah, thank you. I'll have a quick look at that. Right, let me have a look. Okay, so what did he say? It's past 1 man. I'm still debriefing. I don't think we're racing. Oh, no, that's the thing. It's past 1 a.m. in the morning now. And the drivers have been in there since the end of FP2. So no, this isn't looking particularly optimistic for the race. I am sitting in the Discord if you do find what you're putting in. Forza RaceBeacon, yeah, absolutely. Need me to mod? I don't know. I don't know if we have any mods here actually, but Brad's personal opinion is that it should race because they're very. Look, in my opinion, having followed the conflict that's going on between the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels and Saudi Arabia for quite some time, there is no risk to the track. I think the big debate here is not on driver safety, anything like that. I think the big issue is whether or not F1 wants to be racing in a country that is being attacked and is involved in conflict, which obviously we saw in Russia they weren't too keen on, but you know, that's F1 for you. What have we got any more? Wolfer, Brown, Seidel, Horner, Brown, yeah, Brown, yes. Seidel, Horner, now all back in the meeting. It's extremely clear, as reported earlier, the drivers have serious security concerns. And they shouldn't, to be fair, from what I've seen on it all, they shouldn't. But ultimately, if they feel there's too much of a risk that they don't want to race, then, you know, that's on them. But no, I honestly, there's a very good chance here. Keep yourself nice if it gets up. Yeah, Chandler. Yeah, take that. Yeah. Well, we've got, hey, Brad, hello. Hello, Max of the Netherlands. How you doing? Max said you could smell burning in FP1, probably was the fire. No, it wouldn't have been. The fire was way too far away for them to be able to even really know it was going on, apart from being able to see it in the background. I'd be very surprised. It's not impossible, but I'd be very, very surprised if that was the case. I think it's much more likely it was something genuinely burning on the car. Well, we got nobody's gonna die, bro. No, that's my opinion on it as well. I believe the drivers are safe. Saudi's air defense is good. It's good. Obviously, an oil refinery was hit. One of Aramco's, who obviously, you know, high rated sponsors this track as well. So no, if the drivers have security concerns, that's perfectly valid on their part. But from someone who has followed the conflict, I can't see Iran wanting to back an action that would spark a very serious international situation. Basically, that's not. There's so many laws protecting international sport. It's just not something. And they've had the chance to attack motorsport events before in Saudi, and they haven't. So look, I don't think this is an attack on F1 or anything like that. But if the drivers don't feel safe, the race isn't going to go, is it? Air defense is good, and they're decent air defenses. But as Jenny Gowell says here, what an extraordinary day/night in Saudi. It really is. There's a very real chance that the race could get cancelled, and I don't know. But no, it's all pretty big. I'm gonna stick with the chat for now. See what everyone's saying while we wait for any updates. The main thing here is should be racing in a place where we have to consider how strong the air defense are. No, exactly. For me, we should not be racing in Saudi Arabia in the first place. But should we leave because of these attacks today? No. There's no increased risk on the drivers. Should we be here in the first place? No, absolutely not. Especially when... Right, so what's happening in Formula 1 at the moment is there's threats of mainstay Grand Prix. This is a rant. I should have live streamed sometime during the week. This is a rant I've wanted to get off my chest. We're in a situation in F1 where some of the mainstays on the calendar are at risk of going. You know, Spa, we've seen being the most recent one. If they don't get a contract extension, they're gone. So we're going to have a situation... what's my Discord? It is the top link in the description, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's the top link in the description. But yeah, you've got a situation where some of these, you know, the top Grand Prix that everyone knows and loves is being replaced for a long-term deal to 2035 or whatever the hell it was with Saudi Arabia. Is that right? Absolutely not. Should we be here in the first place? Absolutely not. Should we leave because of what's happening today? In my opinion, no. But we shouldn't have been here in the first place. Bring back German Grand Prix? Exactly. Wait, Saudi's been boycotted. Well, the drivers have been in a meeting for nearly 3 hours now. It's gone 1 a.m. in the morning. We're, I think, 1:30 in the morning in Saudi Arabia now. Yes, it's 1:30 in the morning, Saudi Arabia, and the drivers are still talking while team bosses are returning to the meeting. So the drivers have been there for some time. A lot of drivers still in their race suits. After FP2. So that's how long they've been in there. And my Discord link is invalid or expired. How absolutely fantastic. Oh, Lenny, thank you for that. If you already use it stream. Okay, so what Seb said was, do the people in Formula 1 listen to you when you talk about these topics? He says, some people panic a bit when certain topics are discussed. Those would gladly want to influence what I say or comment to minimise the risk of confrontation. This happened on the day of the war outbreak in Russia, and it happens whether it's a topic of environmental issues or the topic of sponsors or partners in F1. I'm currently not the most liked driver by the Formula 1 organisers as far as it goes, I would say. And that checks out. Let me get a new Discord invite link that's actually going to be infinite. No limits, never Create new key. There we go. Let me make that the top link in the description so people can join the Discord. That now should work. What would happen if this race is boycotted? Well, we won't have a race this weekend. We'll have to wait two weeks until the next race in Melbourne. The drivers would simply pack up shop and go home. That's what would happen. So, yeah, race would go on. Well, that's what the FIA is saying, and that's what the line is at the moment. But like I say, the F1 drivers now never thought we'd have another day like Melbourne 2020, but here we are. Hopefully, it's not going to go quite as early into the morning as Melbourne 2020 did. But there's a very real chance. There's a very real chance we could actually be live for quite some more time because I don't know. I'm going to keep streaming until this comes to an end. They surely will make a decision at some point tonight. I would be shocked if they don't have some kind of outcome tonight. But yeah, look, we're going to stay live. We're going to see what happens, whether or not we're actually going to have a race. I'm sensing they'll put this down to the majority vote between the teams and drivers. Well, they've already had that. That's the thing. All of the team bosses unanimously voted that this race should go ahead. The FIA directors want it. The team bosses want it to go ahead. The drivers, on the other hand, are the people who have security concerns. Why don't the F2 and F3 kids get a voice? That's the saying too. I know exactly, you know, they're in the same situation. And the F2 drivers, it was on to them to do qualifying. No complaints at all. Right after the attack happened. So, yeah, I don't know. If some drivers boycott, then the race can still go ahead, right? Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the Grand Prix Drivers Association, the GPDA, that's what we'll be referring to them for the rest of this evening, the GPDA, Grand Prix Drivers Association. It is the collective group of drivers. Whatever they end up saying, we'll have to see. So some of them may back out, but they tend to act in a unit. If they're doing a boycott like this, it's very rare to see some drivers back out. It's going to be all or nothing, you'd think. Well, I'm keeping an eye on any updates because, yeah, this is, yeah, it's sort of spicing up. I'm going to get a tweet out as well. There's another thing that we do. Here's another thing that we do. If you want to get followed on Twitter by the @RaceBeacon YT account, then share a link with the stream with hashtag F1 and hashtag Saudi Arabia Grand Prix and @RaceBeacon YT. Post a link in the stream and go, hey guys, you should watch this because it helps get more eyes on the channel and you get an extra follower on Twitter. So, win-win. But no, we'll keep going anyway. So what have we got people say? Melbourne 2020 was the strangest day ever I've followed in the years I've been watching F1. It was, wasn't it? Absolutely immense. I remember I was listening to Radio 5 Live. I think it was Jenny Gow, Jack Nicholls and probably Jolyon Palmer as well, all discussing what could potentially happen. And yeah, it was absolutely crazy all that night. And of course, I'm going, hang on, I want to go to bed early so I could watch the race. Or so I could watch practice, get up early for that. The racing fan in me wants to see a race, but logical side sees why this crisis is not something that should be ignored. Yeah, fair point. Safety comes first, and if drivers aren't comfortable... Yeah, that's the thing. Look, I'm someone who's followed the conflict but between the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels and Saudi Arabia. These attacks are common. These are common attacks. F1 has come here knowing that this is a risk. Everyone knew this was going to be a risk. We saw it in Formula E. Everyone knew this was happening. And that's why Saudi Arabia shouldn't be on the calendar anyway. But it is, and we're here. And in my opinion, from everything I've seen from the Houthi rebels in all of their attacks, they target key infrastructure, not sporting events, nothing like that. And they've had many chances to. They don't target it. They don't target civilian areas. They don't have civilian targets. You know, this isn't Russia. But yeah, I don't know. Check Twitter now. Or Chandler, have you put something? Cheeky Chandler. What have you put? Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on all of my different Twitter accounts going at the moment. Hey guys, you watch? Oh no, that was nice, Chandler. Actually, fair enough. You get a follow on Twitter. Well done. Okay. It won't be cancelled. Well, that's who we just don't know, do we, at the moment? You don't put active Warzone on your race car. No, exactly. And that's the thing. They can't go, oh, look at this. How did that happen? We knew this would be a risk. I knew this would be a risk. And I'm not part of the organisation team. So they definitely did. What's this saying? Bonotto has now also returned. He had already left. All team bosses now present with the drivers again. Team bosses previously said unanimously, we're going to race. But there is doubt among the drivers. It's a mess, absolute mess as ever, an absolute mess in Formula 1. But that's why we love it. It's part of the fun of the sport. But not to get back to it, yeah, we just saw that. I'd 100% even take a fourth race in the States if it means we don't have to worry about this type of thing. I mean, yeah, isn't it? You know, you have to beg the question. Obviously, look, I know why we're not racing in Germany. It doesn't have state funding. They can't afford it. But look, we're racing countries like Saudi Arabia on a deal that runs to 2035 when they are a nation that is actively fighting terrorist organisations that are attacking their cities. So, yeah, I don't know. The same attack last week, they 100%. Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. And that's the thing that shocks me so much. These attacks have been going on for years. This is nothing new. Nothing new at all. They should see it coming. They should know it's coming. And that's why we shouldn't be here in the first place. The race shouldn't be cancelled, in my opinion, but we should never come here. There's not a risk to drivers. Drivers will not be attacked. The track will not be attacked. But we shouldn't be here in the first place. I hope that makes sense, but that is my concrete view on it. More US car park Grand Prix. Yeah, well, yeah. As a Russian, I can't see any consistency in the officials' decisions. Looks like Saudis pay much more than Russia in such condition. They don't want to cancel a race for the safety of all. But look, it's not. We're not human if we're not contradicting ourselves every 5 minutes, are we? What's happened? Right, so I appreciate more people have joined. Let's get a quick summary again. So during the FP1 session this morning, we could see some fairly thick black clouds in the distance. I think there was Charles Leclerc's camera. We got a good shot of it. That was Houthi rebels, who are Iranian-backed, basically militia terrorist organisations who have access to rockets because they're Iranian-backed, basically carrying out attacks on Saudi Arabia. And this has been going on for a long time. Everyone knew this was a thing. Everyone knew this could happen. There were a lot of interceptions. They fired many rockets at an Aramco. You'll know about them. They're one of the head sponsors of Formula One. So, you know, we've also got dodgy Saudi oil money coming in as well, but you can ask yourself about that. Yeah, so basically there was an attack against an oil refinery facility in Jeddah. It was a good 10 plus kilometres away from the track, but near the track nonetheless. And that's what all this debate is going on at the moment. The drivers have been in meeting for nearly 3 hours now. And yeah, we're waiting to see. So apparently, especially Hamilton's against... Yeah, but nothing's come out of the meeting, so I don't think that... I don't believe that. I think that was just some say. I mean, it makes sense that Hamilton is you know, at the front end of this sort of rebellion, this boycott. But no, I don't know. This is starting to look a little bit pessimistic, I think, from an F1 fan point of view. I'm just gonna quickly get a stream link just to post it out so I can get more views. You know what it's like. You know what it's like. But right, I'm gonna keep reading the chat at the same time while I'm typing all of this, so it's okay. It won't affect the stream. Right, we've got Bet Seba's feet up with a beer. No, he's asleep. He's loving life at the moment. There won't be a second Australian Grand Prix. The circuit is a public road. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and also the track typically is only ready about a week before the race anyway. I've seen pictures of the track. It looks absolutely beautiful at the moment. Some people, because obviously it's a public park, have been able to get in and snap some pictures of the track. Absolutely beautiful. It looks great at night. But yeah, it's done. No drivers equals no race. Oh, exactly. That's the thing. What are my feelings? Are they going to race or not? I think it's really up in the air at the moment. I don't know. I really don't know. It's very much up in the air right now. Yeah, no, honestly, this could swing either way. There's either going to be there's obviously either going to be a race or there's not. But no, I couldn't give a concrete answer. An hour ago, I would have said, "Yep, we're having a race. The race is going to go ahead." But now, I'm nowhere near as sure about that one bit. Hashtag F1 live updates on potential driver boycott of Saudi. Of hashtag, look at me using the hashtags like a pro. Hashtag Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. There we go. Come chat. There you go. Look, this is how promo works. You just go come chat, and then post a link. There we go. I stay off Twitter. So it's 1:35 a.m. here in Jeddah, and headed back to the circuit is Ben Hunt from The Sun. He's heading back to the circuit. But yeah, no, look, we just haven't had any more updates recently. We're sort of waiting on more. I agree with you. They shouldn't be surprised this happened. Shouldn't be in Saudi in the first place, but the race should gone. Yeah, chooched. Yes, that is literally that is perfectly summed up my opinion on this. We shouldn't be here in the first place. It's wrong to be here. But the drivers are not at a massive risk of these rocket attacks. They're not going to be attacked. Iran doesn't want that. The Houthi rebels don't want that. It would spark a major international diplomatic incident. And Iran, at the moment, trying to get out of a lot of sanctions as well. And there's a lot of nuclear sanctions going on against Iran as a state, the regime in Iran, which is a vicious regime. And yeah, they don't want that. That's not beneficial to them. It's not beneficial to the Houthis. It's beneficial to no one to attack this race. So I think the drivers are safe. But yeah, like I say, we shouldn't be here in the first place. They should cancel the race. It's too dangerous for drivers and the public. They will know about it. Well, that's the thing. The Houthis, they don't attack civilian targets. Civilian targets are not at any particular risk here. Yeah. I think the situation is a perfect opportunity to make a statement regarding which direction of sport should be going in the future. Yes. Absolutely, Rook. Perfect. The race should go on. Let's get a poll up. In your opinion, so this isn't should we be racing in Saudi Arabia in the first place? I'll put given the attack, should the race go on? Yes or no? Why should the race go on if they shouldn't be there in the first place? Well, no, that's the thing. Look, we're here now. We're already here. We've set up and we're ready to go for the race. So there's no new reason not to do it. They've gotten their beds and they've gone, oh, you know what, we quite like this money. We can have a race here. They've made their beds. We're already here. There's no extra reason to leave because they knew this could happen. They probably knew it was going to happen. But yeah. Should be able to race in terrorist or communist countries anyway. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's a rough one. It's a really rough one. But no, look, here we are. We're in a dangerous situation in the world at the moment, and yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one. It's a really tricky one. Like I say, look, I'm firmly in the boat. We shouldn't have been here in the first place. I do want to clarify that. But given we're already here, I can't see there being a new reason that we shouldn't. But that's just my opinion. Imagine loss of the refinery cost and also added logistic huge amounts. Yeah, absolutely, and that's why the Houthi rebels do these attacks on the key infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. That's the point of these attacks, is to cost them money. Saudi oil. They're two words you hear next to each other a lot. That's their main thing. That is their main source of income. So yeah, to have hits like this is not useful, believe it or not. I'd refuse because something happens and what? Well, that's a good point as well. And you can always say, well, something could happen, and yeah, it absolutely could. The guarantees of safety given to F1 drivers by Saudi authorities appear to be along the lines of this happens regularly. Only commercial facilities are attacked. They won't attack the race, and we have drone/missile defenses in the area. I'm not sure if I'm so convinced. I'm convinced by that because that is the form that the Houthi rebels have. Obviously, the drivers, believe it or not, aren't following they're not regularly following in their lives the battle between the Saudis and the Houthi rebels in Iran. So I forgive them for maybe not feeling safe about that. But look, there are air defenses in the area. Saudi Arabia, the Saudi government, they know they can't let this happen. They know they can't have an attack like this happen in F1. So all the defense they've got is going to be in it. But we shouldn't be hosting F1 in a place where rockets are being fired at. Even if the defenses are great, we should not be hosting F1 if there's rockets heading towards the track. But that's the thing. Rockets won't be heading towards the track from the form I've seen through the past few years from the Houthi rebels. But I don't know. They can always change their mind. It only takes one day for them to go, you know what, actually we do fancy a civilian target. And that's it. What if that happens to be the F1? So I can see both sides of the argument here, to be honest. For me, I think the drivers should feel safe, but I completely appreciate why they won't or maybe don't. I completely appreciate that. It's past 1:30 AM here in Jeddah, and F1 team bosses have gathered again after a 2.5-hour drivers' meeting. It's understood some drivers had concerns about the Saudi Grand Prix race going ahead. The F1 state's decision has unanimous support. So how true is that in the end, I think is going to be the big question here. At least give the drivers rockets. Well, yeah, that's a good call, isn't there? Give the drivers the rockets. They can fight back. Mercedes said they were working with aerospace companies. They can fire back. No. But yeah. So if I was a wag, want my man to come home yesterday. Yeah, no, exactly. You know, that's the thing. That's the thing. And I completely appreciate why drivers don't feel safe. I do want to sort of get that clear. And if they don't want to race, that's completely on them and their decision. Right, what have we got? Wouldn't be racing in Kiev or Mariupol at moments of either day in Jeddah. There are differences between the two. They're very heavy differences between the two, obviously. But I get your point. I get your point. If that's one driver saying that, then how many others don't feel safe? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? I can imagine Lewis is somewhat leading the debate on this. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. Can I update Twitter? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, can do. I mean, there's nothing particular. I can do this one if you want. So yeah, I've got the tweet deck going on Twitter. To be honest, this is just to look at pictures and things like that. So that's the most up-to-date stuff that we've got. It's all on the tweet deck as well anyway. There we go. Lovely. Fire flares out of diffusers defense. Exactly. How dare F1 removes a driver out of the grid because he is a citizen from a country in war and can now ignore that Saudi Arabia is at war and executing hundreds of people. Well, that's a good point, isn't it? You know, the Saudi regime themselves are executing people, so... I don't know. I don't know if the YouTube community guidelines would like me discussing this, but oh well. There we go. Please go away, YouTube. There we go. Is this race going to go ahead? We don't know, David. Honestly, I don't know. An hour ago, I'd have said, yep, absolutely. Now, I am not so sure at all. I've got Sky Sports News on the side as well, so if there's any footage, I can sort of explain what's happening, but I'll try to show everything I can anyway. But yeah, we haven't had an update for a bit. I'll try to get a photo up. Let's try to get a photo up of the drivers in the meeting. I've seen a fair few pretty good photos of the drivers in the meeting. So let's see here. So obviously, yeah, here's the bosses all going back into the meeting. So yeah, about 25 minutes ago, the team principals started to return. After Mattia Binotto got here, they're now all here. They're now all there. 1:08 a.m. Domenico and Braun. So yeah, here's a picture of obviously the attack that's gone on there. That's what this whole discussion's about. And yeah, I think you can see why there's some discussion around. Don't get the execution argument. Yeah, US literal said death penalty. Well, that's a good point as well. That's a good point. And I think yeah, it gets to a stage where if you're discussing every moral argument that's going on in the country, half the F1 races just wouldn't be there anymore. So it's not viable for the sport to do it, really. If he races one, you stand up to intimidation, but go on behind your gated community and talk up your support. Well, yeah, as well. But yes, let's see. So actually, yeah, the poll is now leaning towards no. We've got about 300 votes on there and 53 no, 47 yes. So evidently this is something that's quite splitting the community. Doesn't matter if the track is targeted or not, it's a wrong to race it. I agree with that. That I perfectly agree with. We should not be here in the first place. I fully agree with that. But money talks. As we all know, money talks. Right, let's have a quick look at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix hashtag. Just see what's going on Twitter. Yeah, Yuki looking quite tired. So yeah, here's something for new people are just hopping onto the stream. What we're seeing as well is there we go. That's not gone well. Yeah, what we're seeing as well is that some of the drivers are still in their race suits. They've come straight from FP2. They've gone to their team debrief. And then headed straight towards this drivers' meeting that's been going on for quite some time now. And that's what's going on at the moment. Yeah, man, thank you for the coverage. You're so cool for doing this. I haven't seen anybody else covering it like this. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And that's what we do around here. That's what we do a lot around here. So, yeah, hope you stick around. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're just waiting for updates. And that's all we can really do. Call it F off. Alex Jake's retweeting. Binotto's actually left. I guess he's just updating some news as well. I'm not going to leave it on an ad. Marvel aren't paying us. So yeah, Jess McFadden saying call it the F off. Which it could very easily go that way. As someone who lives in Jeddah, this does happen often. I know, exactly. It does happen often. It absolutely does. People have not been harmed, but still the race should not happen as it's still a scary situation. It will be a death race, but not the movie one. This could literally happen at any race in the future. Yes. I mean, yes. But, well, I mean, I don't know. It depends how Ukraine goes, I suppose. Is anyone having issues with lag on the stream? Because I can see my Wi-Fi is not doing particularly well. That's the joys of being home and not where I normally stream, where I get basically gigabit broadband, and then I come here, it's not great. DTS drama coming? Yeah, absolutely. FIA is the same as FIFA. It's all about the money. They don't give an F about human rights or equality. They ban Mazepin just because of Russian money, but they're racing in Jeddah, double standards. Yeah. Well, they didn't actually... Right, yeah, they didn't actually ban Mazepin, to be fair. That was Haas going, well, hang on, we're not getting your money from Uralkali anymore because their assets were frozen by most governments. So this is a government thing. Most governments froze the assets. Mazepin wasn't kicked out the sport. He wasn't kicked out the sport. Haas basically went, well, look, first of all, it's not great publicity anyway. Second of all, you're not as good as other drivers we can have, and you're not bringing in a lot of money. So, you know, why would they stick with him? Maybe the Torpedo Kvyat can protest them. I don't know. The Houthis probably used Daniel as the torpedo. What's happened? Yeah, so what's happened for people again just coming in? The Houthi rebels during FP1 this morning, their Iranian-backed terrorist militia group attacked Aramco Saudi oil refinery in Jeddah, which obviously is not great. And it was, I think, a matter of only like 10, 12, 20 kilometres away from the circuit, something like that. And yeah, basically this is what discussion's about. The team bosses were fine with it going ahead. The F1 bosses were fine with going ahead, and it was unanimous support, supposedly. But the drivers are the key force here. The drivers do have some security concerns. They've been in a meeting for nearly 3 hours now, and we're waiting for the outcome. That's what we're waiting for at the moment. Where's the stream? Here? Here? I don't know. There's no stream of anyone doing it. Biden's are sending more oil to Europe without pumping offshore. Houthis should recruit Grosjean. They'll never hit the target. Wait. Maz driving for a US-based team was a disgrace from day one. We shouldn't let terrorists dictate our way of life. No, but if they're posing a valid risk, then you know, you got to put safety first. So if people don't feel safe about racing, they shouldn't have to race. I'm fairly convinced they won't be targeted, but I don't think they should be doing the race either way because the officials need to be shown some sort of resistance. Yup. Did anyone die / get injured during the attack? I don't think so. I don't think anyone was hurt because the Houthis don't target civilian... they don't have civilian targets. They only target sort of key infrastructure for the Saudi regime, Saudi government. The race should go on. Drivers who don't feel comfortable driving should be off, and let those who want to race get on with the show. And I mean, yeah, potentially. I do sympathise that point a little bit more. Safety is even a question. It shouldn't go ahead. And again, yeah, to be honest, I see both sides of the argument here. If the drivers want to race, you want to say, oh, okay, if they want to race, they should be able to race. But equally, you know, then the team members, they don't get a decision here. If the team members don't feel safe, they should be allowed to go. They shouldn't be forced to stay here for their work. So yeah, there you go. It's just optics and nothing to do with safety. If we're honest, some drivers who don't want to be there anyway will use it as an excuse. I mean, look, to an extent, there are some drivers on the grid who no doubt will benefit from not having this race go ahead. And we have known in the past some drivers and teams to lean certain ways in not exactly this kind of discussion, but discussions about whether it's safe to go racing. You know, think when it's wet under safety car and the like. That's where we get some discussion about, you know, what benefits them more. But no, I think for the most part, this is more about safety. Race should go on. I doubt the Houthis will target the race. They won't. I don't see them targeting the race. That's not a clever move at all. There is some footage now on Sky Sports News, but it's nothing new. It's all old footage. So any new stuff? All right, let's see. So Ben Hunt from The Sun saying, I've got this far without anyone checking my pass. Incredible. So they've been able to get almost into the paddock without anyone checking his pass at all. So you go, all team principals leaving the meeting. They go all together to race control. Drivers are alone again. So there we go. Team principals are leaving the meeting now. Team principals are leaving the meeting. Yeah. Could F1 TV be more worldwide covered, like my country isn't in it? Yeah, I know. I don't know why F1 TV is so bad with coverage, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really know why they are, but alas, there we are. I don't know. I don't know if this race is going ahead. I really genuinely don't. Yeah, I'm quite shocked by all of this happening. So, what happened when the race gets cancelled? Well, they all pack up and go home. That's ultimately that's what happens. Yeah, it's a tricky one. No, we wait 2 weeks for the next race in Australia. Who was the attack from? The attack was from Houthi rebels, which is an Iranian-backed terror organisation militia, basically. Not nice people. They did a lot of attacks in the Gulf as well. You need to stop calling one side terrorists as a 1,000-year-old. Oh no, I know it is, but Western governments, which I fall under, classify them as terrorist organisations. So that's sort of, yeah. And you could say if it's the other way around, would they be called terrorists as well? Yeah. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but yeah, as people saying, money talks. James Hunt would hotwire, but no, I mean the actual acts they do is very much it's terrorism. That's, you know, attacking key infrastructure in a nation. That's state sponsored terror. But yes, you can say the Saudis are doing the exact same thing, and they are. And yeah, I don't really want to come down on either side of the conflict, but obviously we're discussing one side. We're discussing an attack here. Is F2 cancelling if F1 is? I don't know. It depends if drivers want to go ahead with it. But for me, I think if they're going to cancel the F1, the F2 will follow. There's such a wake-up call to F1. Sports and politics do intertwine. You can't pretend they don't just because people pay you lots of money. Fire and associated smoke plume at the Aramco facility, very conspicuous this evening as the F1 circuit rain radar below. 15 kilometres, 9 mile range radial from the Corny circuit. So that is, I assume, the smoke appearing on a rain weather radar from the attack, because it's still burning. You know, as you can see in the thumbnail, it's still burning. Right, so we go. Chris Medland, 1 minute ago, just got back to the track. Team principals have just gone into race control after another half an hour with the drivers, while the drivers are still in the same room. Sounds like a remarkable evening in the F1 paddock. F1 has committed to racing effectively because this happens all the time, and the circuit is somehow safe from missile attacks. Translation: money. Drivers not sure. We'll go ahead, but drivers have been locked in the meeting for hours since. And yeah, I mean, look, there we go. This is, like I said, it's really something. This is unheard of in F1. We've never had, you know, F1 in an active, you know, intertwined with active conflicts. It's a weird one. So any idea when the results are out? No idea at all. And to be honest, at this moment in time, I don't think the team bosses or the drivers do either. There is clearly a lot of ongoing discussion that we're going to have to wait for the verdict to see. If I could say my opinion, I feel in most countries having a race wouldn't be a conversation. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? You know, if we're in Germany, let's say, and an attack happens nearby, a large terror attack, let's say, would that race go ahead the next day? Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? It's a really hard one. The Beyond the Grid podcast with Lord Hesketh is a hoot. If you are a Hunt fan, check it. Oh, is there actually one? Ah, that's quite cool, but I have to watch that at some point. Still can't believe FIA and F1 came out and said the race was going ahead. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? We'll have to wait and see what the verdict is. There's still, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to stay live until we get a verdict, so hopefully you'll stick around. I'll be chatting in the chat, of course, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Just checking Twitter, see if there's anything. Chandler commenting on my video from this morning. What to look out for at the Saudi Grand Prix? You forgot to mention missiles. Yes, thank you for that, Chandler. Thank you. To be fair, I actually probably could have mentioned it because this was something I half expected. I did think maybe the Houthis would hold off while the F1's on because it's not a good look for Iran. It's not a good look for them themselves. Not that they really care about PR, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely could have added it. Mercedes, etc. need time to improve cars, therefore they won't race. It just sounds stupid and counter-intuitive business-wise. If they want to go that way to keep the race going and pretend like there's nothing happening on the other side of the city, yeah, it's an interesting one. Right, please translate. There we go. Team bosses have come out and continued to Domenicali. Drivers stood in the same room. Some have been there for 4 hours now. It's quite a stand from the drivers. Whatever comes from tonight's events, it clearly is an important moment in the sport. F1 drivers have a voice and will use it when they feel they have to. Fascinating turn of events. A reminder that the third F1 practice session is due to start in 15 hours from now. Yeah, and qualifying, 18 hours as well. So yeah, whatever the decision is going to be here, they're going to want to get it sorted pretty soon. RaceBeacon should publish a book on racing versus politics. He's a good storyteller. Well, I mean, I don't know. You never know. Guess who's put a stream up after seeing you have one up? Who? I want to know who. I'm genuinely curious. If you say WTF1 or something, I'm going to riot. I want to clarify that. Because they did the same bloody thing with... They did the same thing with F1 testing. So I got loads of likes on Twitter, then the next morning they come out with a tweet. I'm like, no! Stop it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Jenny, tell me. WTF1, really? They've had a good 3 hours to put a stream up, right? They've had a good... Okay. I'm fine. It's WTF1, of course it's WTF1. Of course it is. They have zero idea. WTF1 stealing content. What? We've never heard that one before, have we? We've never heard that one. They never do. Anyway, WTF1 is a curse. I don't know. Well, that explains why the viewer count dropped about when they went live, so that makes sense. Has 7k viewers, you should have. Cheers for that, lads. Cheers for that, indeed. F1's leeches. Oh, that's okay though. They hit 1 million subs. I don't know. Look, they're a good force in the sport. I know it's a tricky one on the create because I've had even like Twitter content that I've made in the past stolen by them without any credit at all. So I don't get on particularly favourably, but I enjoy the content they do make. So I'm in a tricky situation with that one. RaceBeacon better than WTF1. Thank you. I'm not leaving here for WTF1. Thank you guys. You're sticking with us anyway. But yeah, WTF1's boring. I like WTF1, but they're definitely corporate, lol. Yeah. Well, they have to be. They're such a big brand, you know. But let's not get into this discussion. I'm not here to crap on a channel with 1 million subscribers. I feel like that's not the best use of my time. I'd rather watch paint dry than listen to anything that Matt has to say. If we can't race in Russia due to war, then we shouldn't race in Saudi Arabia due to the attacks. That's completely fair, and yeah, that's you know the key debate. I think F1 does need to question what it's going to do going forwards because obviously we have a very long-term contract with Saudi Arabia heading, I believe it's all the way to 2035, which is just absolutely ridiculous that we have a contract that long with a state like Saudi Arabia. I don't want Saudi Arabia to come out looking like angels from this stream, because they are not. We should not be in Saudi Arabia in the first place. No doubt about it. But, given we're here... it's a tricky one. Look, given we're here, there's not a risk to drivers. I want to clarify that. From everything we know about the Houthi rebels, I followed the conflict for a long time. Obviously, it's been going on for a lot longer than I've even been around. But... there's not a real risk of attacks on civilian targets. That's not what the Houthis do typically. It's more on core infrastructure. So the FIA are right in that extent. But look, we shouldn't be here in the first place. The justification shouldn't be, oh, it's okay, they do it all the time. That's not justification. You should be going, oh, they do it all the time. Let's not go here then. Yeah. Chris Medlin saying, whatever the outcome, this is a remarkable stand from the drivers. They are making F1 and their team bosses know they are not happy. And we have seen drivers boycott races before. This is nothing new in the sport. Think what led to the Concord Agreement. I believe it was in Kyalami, was it? I think it was Kyalami back in the, the 80s? Something like that. I listened to the F1 podcast on it and just knew it existed in the first place, but yeah. Imagine the backlash some drivers and teams would have if the race would go on and only some of them would race. Yeah, that'd be absolutely remarkable if that happened. That'd be big. If we get some drivers refusing to race, that would be pretty big, yeah. If they do race, they might cancel FP3 to allow driver enough time to relax and... Yeah, and I mean, FP3 itself tomorrow is going to be a pretty unrepresentative session anyway, so, like, you know, I don't think it'd make a massive difference if drivers did miss FP3, to be honest. I should be allowed wine in social media, but I want to chat and plug. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lindley, thank you. Right, I'm going to see... I'm going to just quickly check if there's any more updates on the accounts I don't happen to be following on the tweet deck. I haven't seen anything more. Yeah, I haven't seen anything more here. Guarantees of safety given to F1 by Saudi authorities appear to be along the lines of this happens regularly. Only commercial facilities are attacked. Exactly, that's one of the big things. What's my top 3 for the weekend if they go on? Max, Charles, Carlos. That's my top 3 this weekend. I fancy Max for a win. Yeah. Aramco need the money after what just happened. Well, exactly, they do, don't they? They do. Yeah. That's what the Russians say to. I know Nico is a super sub, but he's not enough to drive 20 cars. Well, you never know. You know, if you cut him up into little pieces, I bet they'd figure out a way to do it. They still wouldn't get a podium, you know. Even if he was all 20 drivers, there still wouldn't be a podium somehow. But yeah. Ben Salayam will do everything he can to make the race go ahead. Well, I mean, yeah, ultimately that's his job. He needs to do all he can to ensure the drivers' safety, but also that the drivers feel safe enough for the race to go ahead. Scroopy thing, but not as bad as racing in China. Yeah, no, China's well. I mean, China are actively committing genocide, so... Oh no, I don't know why we're going there. Oh no, I do money. Right. Yeah, there's nothing new from what I can see. I'm hoping the Mercedes does not race it. They're not quick. No, like I said in my video before, I can't see... I see this easily being Mercedes' worst race of the season. Because of the porpoising, they've had to obviously raise the ride height quite a considerable amount, which then doesn't let the Venturi tunnels, which is the main source of the downforce this year, do their job. So they're losing a lot of speed through the corners, through fast corners. Cancel a race so the Merc can improve. I hope race will continue. They should race to die. I mean, that's a little bit dramatic. SA good at cutting into little pieces. Yeah, well, God's sake. Not wrong. Oh my, what has happened? Yeah, Aaron, good point. So yeah, what's going on basically for people just joining? Earlier in the day during FP1, there was a Houthi rebel attack, which are an Iranian state-sponsored terrorist militia. That is an official name. You can argue whether or not that should be what they're classified as, but that is what they're classified as. And basically they carried out attacks with a ballistic missile against a Saudi Aramco specifically, who you may know from sponsoring F1, oil facility, or oil refinery in Jeddah. A matter of, what was it, I think 9 miles away from the track, I believe it was, when we saw a minute ago. Drive Survive, what a great title they chose. But yeah, the drivers have been in a meeting now for over 3 hours. It is now nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. It's gone 2 o'clock in the morning. So Andrew Benson saying, I'm struggling to remember a time when the drivers have made such a public demonstration. 1982 Kyle Army! I got it. I said it was the 80s. I mean, that's not really an achievement, but... I'm struggling to remember a time when drivers have made such a public demonstration of unhappiness with a situation in F1 since the 1982 Kyle Army driver strike, but I'm happy to be corrected if others can. No, Andrew, you're spot on there. I mean, I say that like he's watching. He's not, but Andrew is spot on there. More like survive to drive. For Merc to improve, they need experience and data. So cancelling for strategic... No, I think Mercedes need time. I think they sort of know what they need to do now. It's going to be a case of redesigning their car. They're going to have to change the aero package ever so slightly to accommodate changes towards the suspension and floor. But no, Mercedes need time. You know, it's beneficial for Mercedes to have this race called off, to be honest. Depending on how strong they think their pace is, maybe. When Drive to Survive took the name a little bit too seriously. Well, yeah. Yeah, this is such a tricky one. I don't know what I'd do in the FIA's position, because... Look, the points they're making are actually pretty accurate. I don't think there is a real risk to the drivers. But we shouldn't have come here in the first place. We just simply shouldn't have come here in the first place. So I'll explain why is it going to be cancelled. Yes. So right, hate if the race goes ahead. If the race will go ahead, cars will follow each other well in the smoke. Yeah, so why it wouldn't go ahead is... So yeah, the Houthi rebels attacked a Saudi oil refinery, Aramco specifically, who you'll know from sponsoring F1. And I mean, yeah, that's it really. That's all that's happened. There's no real risk of a further attack. This is something that happens fairly often in even in Jeddah. It's something that happens fairly often. And it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Basically, team principals and the FIA more than happy for the race to go ahead. The drivers are putting up a stand though. Could this be the turning point in F1 where we stop going to all these money tracks and we actually, you know, we actually start to take into consideration, you know, the rights of the people in the country. And Motorsport Week saying this is quite something. Drivers have been in this meeting for almost 4 hours now. F1 bosses have come and gone. Team bosses have come and gone. The drivers seem united. Quite astonishing. Yeah, it's a really, really interesting one. Are WTF1 actually streaming? They're actually yes. Of course they are. Of course they are. I don't want to get back onto WTF1, but that always annoys me whenever I do a stream or come up with an idea that could get views. They decide, oh, that'd be a good idea. Let's do that too. Yes. Anyway, we'll be going to more money tracks for 15 more years because they've got mega contracts. Exactly. Saudi Arabia contract to 2035. I will be 32 when that contract comes to an end. No, 33 when that contract comes to an end. That's mental. It's absolutely mental. Should I go plug you there again? Yeah, good idea. Is it dangerous? Look, okay. I have followed this conflict for a long, long time. The Houthi rebels do not attack civilian targets. It's not something they do, and I don't think they'd start it now. It would spark a very, very major international incident. It's not something they want to do, and they don't benefit from it. They simply don't benefit from doing it. Do I think there's a risk to drivers? No. Should we be here in the first place? No. Absolutely not. We should not have come here in the first place. Everyone knew this was a possibility, and yeah, there you go. So yeah, I'm 37 in a couple of days. Ah, fair enough then. If they do attack the track, I could just imagine some of the drivers escaping the area in the cars. Well, you'd be tempted to, wouldn't you? You're like, well, hang on, how do I outrun the missile? F1 car. It's a great idea. Well, is your username your question? What? I'm confused. Toto's probably yelling right now to call the race. Well, no, Toto. I mean, apparently all the team bosses were united in supporting the race going ahead, from what we heard. F1 didn't struggle when they had decided not to race in Russia, yet they still struggled in this case. Obviously, different circumstances. We are already here, so that's the big difference. We are already at the track. So that, yeah, that's why it's different. Doom disqualified from third on the grid in F2. 5 others penalised after qualifying. Okay, so the F2 grid is going to look nothing like what we actually saw in qualifying. So it seems drivers are going to get a little sleep tonight, and they continue to debate whether the race can go ahead under the circumstances. That, or they are having a pyjama party with the team principals. Thank you, Damon, for that for that critic. There we go. So this is from 1982, Kyle Army at the South African Grand Prix. This was the last major driver boycott on this level. Yeah, back in 1982. Led by the ringleader Niki Lauda, who was very heavily respected inside the paddock. Much like a certain Lewis Hamilton, who I don't doubt for a second has issues with this race going ahead. Drunk Uncle Damon. Well, it's late, isn't it? It's late. WTF1 stream sucks. They normally do, to be fair. I watched some of their testing stream. I just couldn't do it. It was so dull and monotone. I tried to keep it as upbeat as possible for 8 hours, and they're just like, oh, whispering into a microphone. I'm like, come on, man. But nonetheless. 20k, do you do a shoey at Silverstone, lol? Oh my, okay, if we get 20k for Silverstone, I will do a shoey in the grandstand. No, not in the grandstand. On the Saturday in a grandstand where I probably won't be sitting next to her again. I will do a shoey at Silverstone if we hit 20k before I go Silverstone. So if you want an excuse to subscribe, there you go. Shots fired? No, that is the issue. Yes. That's the issue in both senses. Me with WTF1 and also the F1 itself. But yeah. But yes. It's a tricky one. A lot of drivers against the race. Yeah, it seems that way. Drivers seem pretty united. It didn't seem so earlier on. I think there were definitely drivers who supported just getting the race on. But look, ultimately, some of the drivers don't feel safe, and if the race isn't going to go ahead, that would be why. You know, when I started to stream, I thought it would be ending quite quickly. Unfortunately, this may end up taking a bit longer than I anticipated. I was hoping this would be, this would be fully over by the time we go live, but. You beefing with WTF1? Yeah, it's not really a fair fight, though, is it? I feel like this is a bit... it's a stupid fight to attempt, but yeah. To be fair, Formula Racers were streaming on Twitch about the whole situation. Yeah, they were. And I love the guys at Formula Racers. They do some brilliant stuff. Didn't actually see them stream. I know they streamed practice, didn't they? So they're probably discussing it there. And no, I like the Formula Racers streams. I tend to watch those a bit. They're pretty good. In the pit, bro. Do it in the pit with Danny Rick. I can't get into the pit lane. Come on, I'm going to need more than 20k subs to do that. I'm going to need more. Unless you want me to break into the pit lane to do a shoey. Stones thrown rather than shots fired. Stoning people to death. Oh, hey, topical. Still on for a shoey at 10k. Yeah, we are. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen tonight. I haven't got a drink on me. Yeah. Stoning people to death. Yeah, that was, yes, topical. Well done. What do you think about the updated Albert Park F1 drives in 2 weeks? I love it. I honestly, I think the changes that are being made at Albert Park seem great. It can only make the racing product better there. And still, no updates for the last few minutes. So I don't know if that means we're wrapping up or the journalists have just got nothing new to get at for the moment. But obviously, the drivers are going to leave that room at some point. And I'm going to be here until they do, whether or not I'll regret that. I'm so annoyed the chat box isn't working. That whole left-hand side of the screen is meant to be a chat box. I have no idea why Streamlabs sometimes decide it just doesn't want to work. I can, actually, I might try to just get it working because it does add quite a lot to the stream. So I'll quickly do that because we haven't had any new updates for a minute or two. So I think we're okay. Yeah, oh no, I've just signed in with Twitch. No, I didn't want YouTube. That's it. I want YouTube. Thank you. Oh, okay, so it signed me out. That's why it's not working. Okay, that makes sense. Right, let me sign back in. And then hopefully the chat box will start working. I really do hope so. I don't know why it's logged me out of Streamlabs. That's weird. That's weird. Right, is it working? Is it working? No. Great stuff, great stuff. That's probably because I haven't actually, started the widget. So chat box. And then we want... Is that the setting we normally have? Yes, that is the setting we normally have. Right, so save settings. And I need to get the link. So I know this is annoying, but it does add quite a lot to the stream, so. Let me do that for you. Boop. You gonna work? Okay, that's gone well. Right, let's ignore that for a bit until it decides it wants to work. Does anyone else find all this questionable? Which part? There's quite a lot of it that's questionable. So people to death, true barbarism. If that still happens, the world is a mess. It does. It really does. What we see? The race makes good. The race makes good videos. Yeah, they do as well. Yeah, the race definitely. They make some great stuff. Actually, really like theirs. Logically, just think about it as a driver. I'm supposed to focus on a race in a city that in certain areas is under missile fire. Yep. Oh, is it working? Hey, it's working. Oh, brilliant. There we go. I don't know why it's so small. Okay. That's happened. Okay, well, it's working. I don't know if anyone can read it, but it's working. What happened? Maurice, basically what's gone on. Houthi rebels attack Saudi oil refinery during FP1. Now there's a big discussion of drivers saying that they don't feel safe. Obviously, they did race in FP2 without any issues. But no, if the drivers don't feel safe to go ahead for the race, then that's what's happening. Right, here we go. So, yeah, so Nate Saunders saying just on the Houthi rebels win if we cancel argument. They also win if they get to kill a bunch of people on Saturday or Sunday. It's ridiculous. Like, look, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Houthi rebels by any extent here, but they don't attack civilian targets. That's why I don't see this as a threat to the Grand Prix itself. It was more just it was an attack on core infrastructure of Saudi Arabia rather than an attack on the Grand Prix, attack on the drivers, anything like that. They don't attack civilian targets typically. They're not known for it. What have we got? People might call Lewis soft, etc. But at least he's got good ethics. Think Sebastian feels the same. Yeah, Sebastian's made clear his opinions on us. Hopefully the Ukraine situation cleans the decks for some standards at least. Yeah, so I think we just need a higher standard of of reviewing the tracks before we give the contracts, reviewing the country. I think F1 does need to sort of lay down some ethics of what the bare minimum is acceptable. Look, obviously we can't expect each country to be perfect because there's not a single country in the world that aren't committing some kind of crime because they all have vested interests somewhere. They all do. But there's bare minimums on human rights, conflict, things like that, and I think F1 does need to put a bit of a stamp on that. If you want to feel safe, don't drive a missile. Good to see you again at RaceBeacon. Hello, Tony. How are you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Did everyone do FP2? Yeah, everyone participated in FP2. So that's a weird thing. They all thought it was safe to do FP2, but not tomorrow or the race. It just seems a little bit odd on that sense, but I don't know. I mean, we don't know what the opinion was. Press conference from drivers at 12 o'clock GMT. Is that true? Haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. Most drivers leave around the back. Russell heads to race control with Seidel. Okay, here we go. Come up to 1:30. Right, here we go. So what are we seeing? So it's 2 years and 13 days ago. In Australia, discussions went on late into the night after the first case of COVID emerged as McLaren. Yeah, that was not good. Drivers are sticking together and making their point as F1's moral compass, even without the physical presence of the Grand Prix Drivers Association director. Of course, the GPDA director is Vettel, isn't it? I completely forgot about that. He's obviously not there. Who would surely have been at the forefront. Presumably, he is in touch by phone with his colleagues. Yeah, I completely forgot that Vettel was head of the GPDA now. Yeah, completely forgot that. Officially cancelled. We don't know. Why was Doohan disqualified? I don't know. I think it will be some kind of infringement, but we'll focus on this now. Everyone drives far left the building in which I've been meeting for over 4 hours. GPDA director George Russell has gone to the race tower where team principals have been meeting separately. So yeah, there we go. All getting exciting now, isn't it? Right, so Lindley sent me some more stuff. I don't know if you're still looking for a pic. Oh yeah, no, we've got some good pictures actually. Thank you for those. Right, there we go. So yeah, right, we're surely going to expect to hear something soonish. I don't really know what to expect from all of this now. So the drivers have gone out back. They've left the building, and yeah, they're going now. Here you go. We'll leave it on the picture. So most drivers leave around the back. Russell heads to race control with Seidel. Okay, this is where it's going to start to get a little bit more interesting now, because this is where final decisions will be made, statements will be made. And they will be talking to the media, presumably sometime very soon. George has his PowerPoint set up already. What's the GPDA? It's the Grand Prix Drivers Association. So it's effectively a union for the drivers. That's effectively what it is. Think what a traditional labour union would be. That's what it is for drivers. It's their representative. It's them as a body. Yeah, that's what the GPDA is. Grand Prix Drivers Association. Russia getting back at F1 for Mazepin and cancelling the Russian Grand Prix. This was not an attack by Russia. Trust me, they're preoccupied. But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on all this. Hockenberg has locked... Oh, that's a fake one. Never mind. What's your gut feeling with regards to go ahead or cancel? I really don't know. 2 hours ago, I'd have said, yeah, it's going ahead. It's going ahead. The team principals, the FIA have said it's going ahead. It's going ahead. Then the drivers stayed behind. Then the drivers started discussing more. And I'm not too sure now. Think it's going to go ahead, says Contact. Yeah, let's do another poll of will it go ahead. So do you think it will go ahead? So 53 to 47 on the should it in favour of no. Now the question is will it? This is news to me. I think it's going to go ahead. Russia's a GPDA director. The only other active driver as director being Vettel explains why he's gone to race control. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So will the race go ahead? And even if this goes ahead and the Houthis decide to do an attack tomorrow, we're going to have this whole discussion again, and it will probably be a flat-out no that time. CWTF, copy this now, of course. Press conference at midnight. I've seen a couple of people saying that. I haven't seen a tweet. Alex Wirtz, I should say, is a chairman. Drivers are now leaving the meeting after 4 hours. Most have left via the rear door, but GPDA Director George Russell leaves through the front door and heads off to race control. So that's all we've heard on that front for now. So we know the drivers now are starting to go out. Here we go. So some more pictures. Drivers at the meeting is finally broken up, and they took the sneaky backdoor route out, but the GPDA Director George Russell is heading across to the team principals meeting with Stefano Domenicali. This seems to be a lot like the team principals and the drivers are actually split on this. The team principals supposedly have unanimously agreed it should go ahead, but the drivers appear to be putting up a bit of a united front. And yeah, no, this is something basically like we saw in 1982 Kyalami for the South African Grand Prix, where Niki Lauda, I think it was to do with contracts, wasn't it? It was to do with like contract security or something like that for the drivers. Yeah, and he led a revolt. He was stopping the drivers as they were driving into the circuit in the morning, stopping them at the gates and telling them what was going to happen. And yeah, they drove off. Yeah, here we go. So Verstappen leaves the track. So Verstappen going home for the day. It appears we're not going to... Yeah, so it appears we're not going to see much more of many of the drivers, at least of Max. So maybe if some of the drivers are starting to go back now, I don't know what's going to happen. This is very interesting. Most drivers leave, no comment, but Russell as GPDA director is heading to the meeting where team bosses and Domenicali are. Right, so that's the most recent update we've got there. I'll leave it on that screen. Let's see what you're all saying in the chat again. He'll not send Lewis to the meeting. He'll know what to say. I'm surprised Lewis isn't one of the heads of the GPDA, to be honest. I feel like he's one of the wiser heads in the group of drivers. So yeah, it's a weird one. Team principals want the most points for their team. Yeah, and also team principals have to bear in mind sponsors. They have to keep sponsors happy as well. No race, unhappy sponsors. They probably actually have to give money back as like as some form of like race cancellation fee. Seems unusual that young driver is a GPDA director. It's happened in the past. I know we have had some younger drivers be directors of GPDA. So yeah, I mean it is. Yeah, it typically goes down to some of the older drivers. I think Grosjean was one for a very long time. He was one for years. So he would have been quite young when he started. Should get Seb on a Zoom call. I think they might have, to be honest. Seb's definitely up and doing some interviews and stuff. So yeah, they may well have done. Team principals want the most points for the team. Yeah, just put Seb on speakerphone. I'd like to bit of fly on the wall in that meeting. Oh god, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? That'd be such a fun one. This is the insight that I wanted Drive Survive to give us. You know, have the Netflix cameras in there for that sort of thing. But there's so much money involved, they just simply can't. They can't have it being broadcast around the world. Russell's very mature for his age. Yeah, well, yeah, he is, isn't he? He's good at PR. We'll give him that. Text my flag is backwards. It's because I've got a mirrored image. Because normally, when I don't normally stream here. So if the stream lags out or something, that's why. It's not because it happens normally. I'm not where I normally stream from. I am at home at the moment. I'm normally in my uni accommodation. It's got, pretty LEDs and things like that and no text in the background. So I have the webcam mirrored so I can go left and right, and it's actually left and right rather than having to go left, right. It's just so much easier for me if I'm trying to explain like an aerodynamic component, something like that. Meeting was 4 hours and 20 minutes long. 4:20, lol. Is Andreas head for the team bosses? He could well be, actually, because we've seen him being mentioned a lot. He keeps being the first boss to head back every time something changes. George Russell, what's this? George Russell is outside, not for me to say anything now. Well, is that Eric saying that or George? It's George saying it. Drivers' meeting is finally over. George Russell has gone to the race control building. George Russell, senior member of GPDA, has been to race control. When asked on what's decided, he says it's not for me to say right now. Russell leaves race control, also the team principals as well. So whatever's going to happen, I think we're going to get the news on it fairly soon. It's, we're seeing drivers starting to leave the track. I think whatever the announcement's going to be, we're not too far off hearing it, fortunately. Ooh, Russell's comment sounds like the race is going ahead. It could, couldn't it? Or they're having to prepare a statement for it being cancelled. Who knows? Greeting from Brazil. Hello, Pietro. How are you doing? Pietro Perego. How are you doing? Great to have you. What am I studying? Automotive engineering with motorsport. So, fairly topical. Alright, I'm out. See you RJW. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're pretty close to something being announced. If you've got a few more minutes. But no, if you've got to go, you've got to go. I think that's the best thing to do. But no, hopefully we're pretty close to some announcements being made now because everyone's leaving. 2:30 a.m. local time. This is not common. This is very, very much not common. Christian Horner says we're going to race. Okay, let's wait for some more confirmation on that. But Christian Horner saying we're going to race. So at the moment, it appears the race will be going ahead. But let's wait for some more. Gonna walk the dog one last time before the press conference. Not a bad chat. Is there actually a press conference at 12? What would I need to do A level to get into motorsports? Well, I did 4 because I'm stupid, or clever but stupid to pick 4. I did computer science, engineering, maths, and physics. Those are my 4. They all interlink quite a bit. So if you're gonna do 4, they're probably 4 you want to pick because they interlink quite a lot. But yeah, any of the STEM subjects is what you want to do. Maybe they will announce a few of the drivers pulling out. Well, potentially, yeah. And, you know, Christian Horner saying a race is going ahead. That doesn't mean all the drivers are going to be there. They'd want a united front, but let's see. Latest from Horner, Paddock will be racing. Yes, that's what we've got from Horner. Obviously, he was one of the first people to tell us that Max was champion as well. I've got massive deja vu to doing these exact streams after the Abu Dhabi race. Let's go back to chat. 11:30 in UK. Yes, 11:30 at the moment UK time. I think of picking maths and physics. Not sure about third. Yeah, I mean those 2 are the ones that you needed for my uni. And most of the ones I looked at is maths and physics. They're the core ones. If you want to pick a fun third one or something, go for it. But I'd stick to STEM, like a computer science or engineering, whatever's on offer, something like that. It does just help because it links over quite a bit. But look, you do you, whatever you find fun. Because you've got the 2 key ones there already, so just whatever you find fun, really, you can pick a third. Is Horner winding the media up again? Horner winding the media up? No way. Call it off, says Peter. 2005 US Grand Prix Arabic edition. Who knows? Hopefully F1 cancels the race because it's dangerous to safety first. But from what we're hearing from Christian Horner, the race seems to be going ahead. Here we go. Heading... Okay, there's a typo there. Hearing there's a stalemate and no clear outcome over 4 hours after meeting started. As it stands, we are still racing. So if there's still a stalemate, does that mean some drivers are going to refuse to race? That's a very real possibility if this is a... Oh, this could get messy tomorrow. This could get really messy tomorrow. I think we're going to have to see who turns up at the track. In just a few hours' time now. Yeah, I think if we're going to see a driver boycott, you know, we're going to see them hop into a camper van and drive to the other side of the country. It's going to be tomorrow morning. Oh, this is a tricky one, isn't it? This is a tricky one. Safety car race, yeah, exactly. Mechanical engineering. I mean, I'm doing automotive. I don't think there's a mechanical engineering A level or anything like that in the UK. I don't think that's an option. I don't think they'll cancel it. F1, a mess? Never. No, never. This is the most straightforward, non-political sport ever. There's totally nothing controversial ever happens. Yeah, they just said it's going ahead. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of reports from people saying it's going ahead. So, Christian Horner will be racing. That was what he said. What have we got here? Clearly, drivers, or at least some, were not happy with F1's quick decision and team bosses to make public that race is going ahead. After hours of deliberation, the light is still green. There we go. Well, there we go. So it seems the race, for now, is still going ahead. Honestly, I think the most interesting part is going to be who turns up tomorrow. There's a potential we're going to see the drivers boycott the race in that way. But no, this is an interesting one. Right, George Russell Senior has been to race control. Finally over. I want to hear someone's going to talk to the media, surely. We'll keep going till about midnight UK time and hope that some news comes out. Right now, the feeling in the paddock is the race will go on. Okay, so that's feeling in the paddock as well. There's nothing concrete. I want to hear someone from the FIA come out and explicitly say this is going ahead, because at the moment, it's sort of what we'd heard before. There's nothing really new. And the drivers very clearly don't like it, so they're sticking to the exact same line as before. So what were all those discussions about? What was going on? I think he was. I think he was the one out of the other team leaders to push this race the most because points for the season after first race of fuel system issues. And yeah, Red Bull are going to be on for a great weekend. I've got Max down for a win, Leclerc second, Sainz third. That's my top three this weekend. And I'll try to keep up with my top of the world effectively in F1 fantasy. I had mathematically the best possible combination for my F1 fantasy team. So I'm hoping to repeat that feat this weekend. That'd be pretty cool. Could Horner's comment mean that Red Bull will be racing? Exactly. It's a really tricky one because I think there's no doubt some drivers don't want to race. They don't feel safe. Question is who and how many. It's gone 2:30 AM in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix paddock. A doubt still hangs over whether the race will happen. Some drivers are leaving the circuit. Alonso was heard saying see you tomorrow, and Christian Horner said we'll be racing. So dropping some hints, and I don't know, I can see an Alonso, if they're planning some form of boycott or something, I can see Alonso saying see you tomorrow and then like a little wink and a smile under his mask or something, knowing they've got something planned. I don't know, this will be really interesting. Maybe you meant racing home. Yeah, first one to get back to the factory wins. I mean, that sounds fun. Let's go for that, actually. That sounds like a good laugh. Yeah, no more. Nothing else yet. I want to hear. We must get a proper interview because this is a pretty big thing and there's a lot of press around. Press are arriving back at the track at 2:30 in the morning. There must be something. Something's going to come out, surely. I can't see it. I can't see it not. I think the rest would go on. I want people to say Alonso will boycott if they do. He don't want to be. It's not confirmed yet. It's not going ahead. I would not want to drive tomorrow either. Maybe he meant racing home yet. In the pink car. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a really tricky one because I don't know. I don't know because I think if we're gonna get a podium for Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, no one else turns up. Well, yeah, who knows? Well, actually, Perez I think was confirmed. Race goes on. So good. That's what I've got at the moment. But again, who's confirming that? And are all the drivers for it? Like, race goes on. The 2005 US Grand Prix that went on. Yeah, this is a tricky one. We need to know to what capacity the race goes on. Clear message coming out from tonight, Saudi, is we are racing. I mean, I guess, but we need to hear something from. Yeah, we need to hear something actually coming from someone like the heads of the FIA and George as well, potentially. Red Bull and Ferrari are going to race no matter what. Yeah, it seemed that way. I think there will be 8 people not wanting to drive, potentially. And the thing is, the drivers who don't want to drive, are they going to be forced to drive anyway, or are they going to, genuinely just not race? 4 hours in vain. Who knows for the drivers? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a tricky one. This is one of the most interesting bits of... one of the most interesting debate we've had in F1 for quite some time, I think. No what? We don't need to mention Abu Dhabi anymore. We've got Saudi Arabia. We've got Saudi instead. Yeah. Man, this will be interesting. Tomorrow, I think, is going to be the important one. I think tomorrow is going to be the key to how successful this race is, to what capacity it happens. Red Bull only drivers tomorrow. Press conference 30 minutes. Yeah, you see, I keep seeing people say that, but I don't know where that's coming from. I haven't seen. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people say that now, that apparently it's going to be a press conference at 12 UK time, but yeah, no one's confirmed anything. They haven't said anything yet, and that's what I mean. We need to hear some official comments. I think the race will be going ahead, but the question is to what capacity here. Are we going to see like a major or minor driver boycott? I've no doubt they'll keep messaging tonight. Let's put it that way. And like I said, all the messaging is saying it's going on, which is encouraging. It's encouraging. But this will not sit well with a lot of F1 fans. Let's put it that way. That will not go down particularly well with a lot of people. A lot of people will not be too pleased about that. Zach Brown, we're racing as well, apparently. What's the latest update? Well, so far it looks like we're going to be racing. That's what it seems like at the moment. But man, I don't know. I don't know. So that's only 10 drivers show up. Is it full points? Because this would be big points for team. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If the race goes ahead and they get the distance in, it doesn't matter because you could have 10 drivers retire from the start of the race due to reliability issues on the formation lap. It will still be a full points race. So yeah, it'll be full points. But yeah, I mean, well, Netflix gonna milk this. I mean, are they? Are they? We said that about about Abu Dhabi, but we got no coverage of post-race Abu Dhabi at all. They didn't even mention the protests or the stewards at all. I was streaming for 4.5 hours after that race. They didn't even mention it in Drive to Survive, and that's because it doesn't look good for the sport. And I think we're in a pretty similar boat here. So yeah. What's going on? Just now I'm seeing this, very confused. Only 2 drivers start the race and both crash into the wall, no points. Yeah, no finishes. That'd be an interesting one. So yeah, Houthi rebels earlier today attacked the Saudi Aramco oil refinery near Jeddah. Yeah, so there we go, Zach Brown as well saying we're racing. So all of them are saying we're racing, so that's really encouraging if you're someone who wants to race to go ahead. Obviously I appreciate a lot of people still don't. More drivers leaving the paddock after hours of deliberation over the race. So yeah, more drivers, there's some more pictures of drivers leaving the track. Here, as of now, drivers have decided to race in Saudi Arabia this weekend after 4 hours. There we go. That's what we wanted. So, as of now, the drivers have decided to race in Saudi Arabia this weekend after 4 hours of meetings. That's the big one. That's what we want to hear. Are all the drivers happy to do this? It seems so from what we're seeing by Andrew Benson right there. That's how it reads. Which, yeah, like I said, encouraging for people who do want to see this race go ahead. Netflix Series 3 was just Lewis versus Verstappen. Yeah, and oh god. They need to change Drive to Survive, they really do. That's the person who did a 4-hour rant on Doctor Who about, why it's not good. I was tempted to do something like that with Drive to Survive, but honestly it would just take so long to make. Yeah. Seth's Marble Run saying hello. Hello, Seth. How are you doing? I remember you from before. Hello. I don't think I'm bothered about tomorrow. I feel this would be time to make a stand for peace. I think that's what the drivers are trying to do. But obviously, sponsorship money has got in the way of all of that. All this not good for the sport keeps happening more and more. It doesn't seem to be going in a healthy direction. It doesn't, does it? It does not. Not at all. I don't blame them for deciding to race, but those tweeting about the driver's stand seem a bit silly now. Yeah, they do, yeah. So, what? F1 journalists being sensationalist on social media? Who'd have seen that coming? Netflix series is bad. It was this year. It really was. They should at least cancel the Saudi races from next then, because this is just not acceptable. Yeah, and this conflict will still be going on this time next year. That's the funniest thing. We're going to turn up to Saudi Arabia next year. This will still be an issue. It will be. Because it has been for decades. This is a very long conflict. They can't fly the safety helicopter. They can. They did for FP2, didn't they? I mean, I know the flags are really bad. Reckon it won't go ahead. I mean, we saw in FP2 they were able to fly the medical helicopter, so I don't think that's a massive concern. Obviously, the smoke from the oil refinery is still very bad. We saw it actually picking up, and it had it detected as rain on one of the team's radars. That's how thick the smoke is. No to walk. Well, that's a pretty reasonable statement, I guess. What have we got going on? It's cool. What we've got going on? That worries me. Actions like that are all politically motivated. The fact they are going to continue the race worries me. That there will be... Oh, it's gone too west. There we go. There will be another attack. Cancelling the race is probably the goal. Sounds like there haven't been a decision because you'd hear from the drivers leaving what the outcome is. Well, that's the thing. We've heard from some of the team principals. It's mostly the team principals discussing this. We haven't heard a driver yet. Apart from Alonso giving what could, in a completely different context, be a "see you tomorrow" wink and then a smile under the mask. So it tells a possible strike. Okay, Germany. You see, that's when I wasn't covering the fine details of Formula 1, so I did not even know that happened. Germany 2013. They were given extra information exactly what is unclear at this stage before coming to that conclusion, but there have been. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing it on the screen. I'm being silly. I've got too many tabs open. Here you go. So they were given extra information, exactly what is unclear at this stage, before coming to that conclusion, but there have been serious misgivings among them as a group before getting to this point. And yeah, I think Kel putting a comment here, it'd be interesting to know which drivers/teams are genuinely happy to race. It would be. It really would be. And you never know, we could still find out tomorrow if any of the drivers do decide, oh, you know what, I don't fancy this. This you know, I don't feel particularly safe enough to do this. The attacks against that company have been going on a week. They've been going on for years. The attacks against Aramco, I've seen that on my Twitter feed for years. I followed this conflict quite a lot. I follow like a lot of conflict accounts on Twitter and things like that, like international relations stuff. And yeah, this isn't anything new. I could have told you there was a decent chance this was going to happen heading to this race. In hindsight, I regret not including it in my things to watch out for during the Grand Prix video. Do another poll. What do you want the poll to be about? How about, will we get 20 drivers in the race? How about that? That could be a fun one. The attacks against that company have been going on a week. Yeah. I couldn't care less. I think they should be on the calendar. Ooh, where's that gone? It's not safe in this country. Jeddah's not safe. Yeah. Who wins the championship, Leclerc or Max? Oh, we'll save that for another stream. Trust me, there's going to be many more chances to get that question asked. Yeah, trust me on that one. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. Thank you so much, Lord's Brewing Company. Thank you so much. Zach Brown said they're racing. Yeah, that's the thing. We've only seen people saying they're racing. So I think from what we've seen so far, it's very encouraging. I'm fairly sure. Oh, Gareth Southgate, what's he up to? There's questions what England have achieved by boycotting this year's World Cup due to human rights issues in Qatar. Yeah, you see, there's another issue. We have the World Cup in Qatar. This is mad, isn't it? The world, when they were deciding all of this, had... Obviously, we know Qatar, the World Cup being there, was completely corrupt. That was pure corruption. And I no idea how they're still allowed to keep that. Don't get me started on the World Cup in Qatar. You thought I had a rant about Saudi Arabia and F1. I'm not going to get started on Qatar and the World Cup. Not F1, but the current climate, an interesting interview with Gareth Southgate. I don't think I can show it, but you can probably guess what he's saying here. He's questioned what England would achieve by boycotting it. So yeah, what would the drivers achieve by boycotting the race? Let's take Gareth Southgate, the England manager in football or soccer, whatever you want to say. Let's take his point. What would the drivers achieve by boycotting? That's not the point. The issue around the boycotting isn't to say, oh, we don't like what the Saudi regime are doing. That's not what the potential of boycotting is here. It's about their own safety, and if these rocket attacks will continue. And they will. They'll continue long after the drivers leave the circuit. And F1's rolled out of town. These attacks will continue. People will go back to not caring. As always. It always happens. It always happens. Yemeni funded terrorists. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're mostly Iran-backed as well, to be honest. Just get the... Oh, God, no. Racing Qatar is wrong as well. It absolutely is. We should not be racing in these countries. Shy, please try to avoid the spam. That'd be absolutely great. Everyone could see the message anyway. The poll about 20 drivers is a good idea. Well, I mean, I think we're going to be done pretty soon. I think that's the issue. Obviously, I said I'm going to wait till 12. So, yeah, let's do it. Will all 20 current drivers race? I'm going to keep going until midnight until we get sort of official statement. Will all 20 current drivers race? Question mark. There we go. As a driver, if I don't feel safe, wouldn't drive. Politics be damned. It's wrong that it hasn't been banned. I know. I agree. I absolutely agree with you. Let's head back to Twitter. No's winning that vote at the moment. That's interesting. I'm honestly, I'm going to put my money on yes, but that's more gut feeling. I can't see it. For me, it's either all drivers or nothing. So, Charles and Carlos also left the track now. Yeah, we saw that photo a little bit earlier on. So that's Charles and Carlos leaving the track. Indeed. And if you're new around here, the top link in the description is a link to join the Discord server. We've got over 800 people in there. It'd be absolutely great if any of you guys fancy joining. We have a lot of chat about the race and stuff, and all updates on the video and stuff like that. So yeah, we have a good time in there. I feel like you should join. And also, if you're new around here as well, don't forget to subscribe, because if we hit 10k, I have to drink from a shoe during the stream. So, yeah. ESPN F1 says it's going ahead. Still no mention on Sly Sports News. Is that a comment or was that a typo? Because I've seen a lot of people use Sly Sports News as a criticism of Sky. But yeah, no, we still haven't seen many new updates here. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to keep going for another 9 minutes because apparently there's meant to be some kind of statement around midnight UK time. That's what I've seen floated around by a few of you in the chat. I don't know if there's any truth to that at all, but I feel that's a good time to keep going to anyway until we see something new. Because I think if we go another 10 minutes without anything new, we're sort of done anyway. I think the race will be a blast. Huh. Yeah. Choose your shoe very carefully. It will be. You know, hopefully it does happen. I don't have a drink or a shoe on me at the moment. So let's hope we don't get an influx of viewers and hit 10k right now. That would not be useful. But yeah. I'm rooting for the shoe. Yeah. I wish we had a Ted's Notebook this weekend. Would have been perfect. I know, yeah, no, yeah. English. No Ted's Notebook this weekend, because unfortunately we do not have Ted. Poor Ted. Have we seen Lewis leave? I'm curious to read his body language. No pictures, Lewis. No pictures. Because Lewis was the one I really wanted to see the most. Pierre Gasly, everyone has been able to give their opinion. We're all aligned on our intentions. Pierre, what are your intentions, buddy? That would be great to know. Look, to me, that reads the drivers don't want to race. That's how that reads to me. The drivers don't want to race. We could see them being forced to race. I don't know, man. I don't know. Pierre Gasly, everyone has been able to give their opinion. We're all aligned on our intentions. Make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Why does Martin Brundle not go to some races? Age, to be brutally honest. 23 weekends with the amount of travel on a guy his age, not particularly great. I'm surprised. Right, same story. We don't see Damon and Johnny at all of the races either. Jensen, that's more because he's a married man with children. Please explain what happened. Yeah, Olivia. So what happened a little bit earlier on in the day during FP1? Houthi rebels, they're called. They're a Iranian and they're like a Yemeni revolutionist group. And also Iranian-backed, basically terrorist militia, waging, because obviously there's conflict between Saudi and Yemenis. That's a very long-term conflict. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. Basically, all you need to know: these people effectively committing terrorism in Saudi Arabia. They launched a ballistic missile at an Aramco. You'll know them from F1, oil refinery, which during FP1. There was a little bit of discussion between teams and drivers and the FIA ahead of FP2. The session was delayed by 15 minutes, but ultimately the session went ahead. FP2 went by without a hitch. We then get to after FP2. The drivers have their debrief. There's a drivers' meeting. The drivers met for over 4 hours, nearly 4.5 hours. Some of them still in their race suits for that whole period of time. Discussing what's going on. So Pierre Gasly... Everyone has been able to give their opinion. We are all aligned on our intentions. Well, guys, let me know what you think about that then. Let me know what you think about that Pierre Gasly quote. Absolutely, let me know what you think about that. Because that is by far the most interesting quote we've got out of all of this. It's not terrorism as they don't target civilians. Yeah, no, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's a great point. It is actually targeted on Saudi infrastructure rather than against civilians. No, that is a great point. That's a great point. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Okay, thank you so much for explaining again. No worries at all. No worries. Buddy will be making all those drivers make all those drivers drive. Trust me. I mean, he's not there, so that's impressive. They'll get no drive the year after. Otherwise, the man is ruthless unless he's going soft in his old age. I mean, I don't think he has any influence. That would be impressive. But no, that was the approach he tried to take in 1982 in Kyle Army. So, yeah. I think F1 shouldn't race in states like Saudi where there is a huge human rights violation. Yeah, absolutely, Marcus. Absolutely. Spot on. I think for Pierre's quote says they're lying. It's It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. So yeah, for people just joining, Pierre Gasly, everyone has been able to give their opinion. We are all aligned on our intentions. And we know the drivers, they had a big discussion there. I don't think they're backing this race. I really don't. Has it got cancelled yet? No, that's what we've got. The team principals, the people who were happy for the race to go ahead, they're saying it's happening. But Pierre Gasly, our first representative from the drivers in that extent, giving a very ambiguous quote. Not clear at all. So ditch also Bahrain, Abu Dhabi. That's the issue. I think. Look, the Middle East and human rights is not a combination that exists. And yeah, you know, the oil money. It's oil money. They're sports washing. That's what they're doing. We all know it. We've all known it for a long time, and we can all see it. If they cancel Russia, then they should cancel Saudi as well. Yeah, I mean, the differences were already here. Obviously, Russia was scheduled for September, so that was why it's a lot easier to cancel Russia than it is to cancel this, is because the infrastructure is already here. It's there right now. They've got some more coverage on Sky Sports News at the moment. It's not live or anything, just showing some images from the smoke billowing out of the oil refinery earlier on in the day. F1 has always followed the money, yeah, and it always will, because it's an expensive sport, it needs the money. Money talks, yep, it always will, it always will. I think their intentions are not to race, and that's the correct decision, but I think F1 will force them for sponsors and money. Again, Blake, yeah. Saudi threw huge money at this, they did, yeah. Formation happens straight back into the pit lane, potentially. Do lap 1 and then pull yourself back into the pits and refuse to drive. Again, potentially, yeah. That's the driver's protest. I don't know if they'll have many fans on their side doing that. Yeah. I'm streaming for an hour before the race, going, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be a great race," and then they pull up into the garages on lap 1. What happened? I missed it all. Oh, Elizabeth. A bit long story. Long story. Basically, Houthi rebels attacked with ballistic missile and Saudi Aramco oil refinery. And during FP1 this morning, FP2 went ahead after a discussion between the FIA and the team bosses. FP2 went ahead, and then the drivers spent over 4 hours post FP2 in a meeting, and they appear to be quite unified here on not wanting to race by the looks of it. Lights out and nobody moves. Yeah, is that lights out and all the engines turn off? This is so messy. It really is. And honestly, I don't think this is the end of it. I really don't. Obviously, we're going to keep going for a couple more minutes just to see if there's any further statements coming out. We've got a few more tweets here. F1 really needs to wake up to Menicali and Co. are fantasizing about 30 race calendars of sprint races when they can't even get the basics right and other fast. It's just another addition in a long line of messes from the FIA. They should have known this was going to happen. Whoa, how long have you been live? An hour and a half. Jesus Christ, that went quick. Williams 1-2-20. Yeah, Williams 0. And you know, if you want to the back markers, you go, yeah, we'll join in on the protest. Yeah, we will. Yeah, totally. Yeah, put it into the garage on lap 1. Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, sorry, it appears we forgot to pull into the garage and then did the whole race. What a shame. Salah misstreamed. Oh, Morgan, how rude of you. I can never forgive you. Ever. Disgraceful. Here now, yeah. I mean, we're going to keep waiting because apparently there must be some kind of official statement coming out tonight. Like, they can't have the media frenzy they had earlier on. Okay, so Toto saying many opinions, but the final call, it would appear, is that we race on in Saudi Arabia. But for me, the key quote is still that Pierre Gasly quote. Pierre Gasly, everyone has been able to give their opinion. We are all aligned on our intentions. What does that mean? Well, Pierre, we needed another sentence or two there. I think they should get out of the country now before they can't. They won't have that issue. The Houthi rebels, they don't target civilian areas. They don't take civilian targets. I've said that many times through the stream, but yeah, they don't target civilian infrastructure or anything like that. It's all sort of state infrastructure. So look, the drivers aren't going to get attacked. I've been very clear about this on Twitter today. The drivers are not going to be attacked. If they do, then that is a massive, massive escalation on everything we've known the Houthi rebels to do at any point in the last decades, or however long. And it would spark a major international incident, which Iran don't want to do. I'm sure doesn't help the resolve in Yemen or the Houthi rebels at all. So that's not something they want. I can't see it happening. Pierre was with Lewis the whole time in the meeting, who was the main protesters. Pierre is clearly against racing. He is. And if he's saying drivers are aligned in that view, are we going to get some form of driver protest, either tomorrow or during the race itself? What are we going to see? And I think that's the biggest point that we've got to look up on now. You know, we're qualifying in 17 hours, only 17 hours. Practice free in 14 hours. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? If the drivers don't want to race, what are we going to see? What will they do to prove their point? And, you know, the drivers hold the power. There's not enough drivers with a super license to replace 20 of them. Yeah. No one could convince me Lewis wants to race. He never wanted to race in Saudi anyway. Yeah, Lindley, you're right. Absolutely right. You shouldn't add more drama when there probably isn't any. I don't know. I think there's pretty clear indications that this is something quite big. This is the biggest driver protest for years. This decade, at least. For the last decade, I mean. Sky Sports confirmed race going ahead. Yeah. But again, I want to hear someone official from the FIA saying it. That's what we need. That's what we need now. Luke Smith saying Saudi Arabian Grand Prix remains on after the risk of an F1 driver boycott is headed off following over 4 hours of talks tonight. So, God, this is a tricky one. So, have the FIA been able to convince the drivers to not boycott? Oh God, this is going to be one for the driver biographies in a few years when they start retiring, isn't it? It would be weird for the bosses to say we race try to force the driver's hands though. It wouldn't be uncommon though. It would not be uncommon. I think this is pretty balanced, to be fair. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Lord Brinko. Thank you. Saudi, I always try to remain as unbiased as possible in all of these, and I think I do a pretty good job of it. It's very rare someone does start shouting at me for being biased, so I try to do a good job. Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on after 4 hours of meeting among the drivers. Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is still going ahead as it stands. Come back to us tomorrow for all the latest news from Sky Sports. There you go. So, this is a tricky one though, and I think it is for them. I think the current understanding is the race is going ahead, but will it go ahead with all drivers? I don't know. That's what I mean. I want to hear some official statements like coming out here. Remains all after drivers agree they will race on despite some deep reservations about security issues. I think what we're going to see is if you're a Houthi rebel right now, you're thinking, what if we just do another attack? You know, if they want to put off the F1, that may not have been the intention in the first place. But if they think we could do some embarrassment here, but is that embarrassing F1 or Saudi Arabia more? It's embarrassing F1, and their fight's not with F1. So that's why I just can't see something like that happening. But again, like I say, I don't know. You just can't predict warfare. You can't. It's impossible. I was actually very excited for Jeddah. Could F1 force drivers to race? I mean, effectively, yeah. They can apply penalties for drivers not racing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who's the most likely to boycott? I'd say Hamilton. You know, the driver who most openly stands up for human rights and safety and things like that. Lewis. And I think he'll try to... Stefano Domenicali.
We have to trust the local authority in that respect. And therefore, of course, we will, of course, go ahead with the event. Who are they targeting?
So good. That's what this was from earlier in the day, actually. That's nothing too new. Obviously, embarrassing for the country, not F1. I don't know. I think it's more embarrassing for F1 if they say it's going ahead and then there's another attack. I don't think that really embarrasses Saudi too much. Could you imagine if a missile landed 12 miles from Silverstone practice? How would we... Exactly. You've got to think it would be different, wouldn't it? It would be different. Yeah, it would be. And I think any other country, we look at it a different way. But we're so desensitized to this sort of thing happening in Jeddah. So this sort of thing, or at least I am, because I see it all the time. This sort of thing happens so often in Saudi Arabia, between the Iranians, between Yemen, between Saudi Arabia. It happens all the time, and Iran as well. It's such a common occurrence, I'm desensitized to it. This is it's a whole 12 kilometres away. Nothing to worry about. But no, you do that in the UK. You do that in Belgium. You do it in Monza. It's a completely different story. But But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. Tricky one indeed. So doing some interviews with Total Wolf. These are all old interviews that Sky is showing at the moment. So I'm not gonna bother with those too much. Let's see if there's some more tweets to get an eye at. People saying press conference at 12 UK time. Again, I never saw anything about that. It doesn't look like anything like that will be happening. So, but yeah, I mean, look, that's sort of how far we've got. I don't know if anything new is going to come out. Of course, we saw actually Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, saying, "I fully condemn the latest Houthi attack against critical sites in Saudi Arabia, including Jeddah." So that, I mean, the UK Prime Minister has spoken out on these attacks that we're talking about with F1 at the moment. He hasn't mentioned F1 or anything in particular. But I mean, that's the sort of scale we're talking on here. Damon Hill, how incongruous is... Okay, it's disappeared. I was trying to read it, but never mind. Have I looked on Reddit? No, I've not looked on Reddit. Is there anything that I should be looking at on that one? Max would ever say it's my bedtime. Good night, y'all. See ya. Good night. Good night. I think this drama's going to continue tomorrow, or at least we're going to hear a lot more about it. So keep your eyes peeled on the Discord server. If I see anything sort of new there. Oh, stream's gone. Hello, am I back? Am I back? Yes. We good? We back? We are back. So yeah, if I join the Discord server, it's a top link in the description. If you see anything new there, yeah, if I see anything new, I'll be posting it there. So that's something to look out for. There we go. I think it's all working now. The stream is back, isn't it? Yeah, the stream's back. The stream's all back up and running. Like I say, I wish I was at home, or uni home with better Wi-Fi. Oh, if Boris says it's bad, they'll be trembling in their boots. Yeah, exactly. A tweet can stop 1,000 wars, as the never-existent saying goes. But yeah, there we go. Am I back? Yeah, good. Good night, never left. Oh, did I never leave? Oh, it came up that I disconnected on the stream. Never mind. If I was a driver, I would say I'm not safe. I need to have military personnel. I mean, look, the drivers are safe. There's not going to be a personal attack against the drivers. It's not like there's like active terrorists in the country wanting to harm drivers. Yeah, I don't know. Audio choppy. Yeah, it might. Like I say, look, sorry. I wish I was at home, or uni home to have better Wi-Fi for this. But yeah, that's all I can do. Next year, from like June onwards, I'm going to be moving into like a proper place, so I'll actually have like a proper setup, and we'll be fine there. We'll be fine there. Good morning, RaceBeacon. Yeah, good morning, Red Guy. We are 8 minutes past midnight here in the UK, so yeah, good morning it is. Good morning it is. This isn't actually the latest I've streamed. My first stream was at about 2 o'clock in the morning, so. Lewis is the driver who can't be threatened with losing his seat. I bet he has put his foot down. Hope they don't race. Look, if a driver's not going to race, it's going to be Lewis. If a driver's not going to, it's going to be Lewis. If Seb didn't have COVID, do you think he would have convinced the others to boycott? I think if you have Seb and Lewis both there, two of the wisest heads on the grid, you've got a strong case. I don't think they're going to be able to beat that. But you've got a bit of youth in George Russell, Pierre Gasly as well. He's got experience, but still a young driver. Lewis was the only driver heading that. I think if you have Seb and Lewis there, a lot of drivers that, you know, I think between every driver on the grid, they respect heavily one of them. When was 2 a.m. stream? It was the first one I did, like November time, early November, I think. I think it was like after the Mexican Grand Prix or USA, something like that. I did a little bit of coverage that evening, so there's like a penalty or something. And I went, oh, hang on, this streaming business gets views. Let's do this. That actually grows the channel. But yeah. A Checo tweet. Has Checo tweeted? How amazing. Oh, thank you for the donation, Lord's Brewing Co. Thank you. Well done on stream. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for the donation. Really does mean a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right, what was Checo's tweet? We're going to have to see this. Ready and totally focused on tomorrow's quali. Okay, so Checo seems to be confirming it. 3:07 track time. Time to go back to the hotel. There you go. The glamour of F1. The glamour of being an F1 journalist. 3 o'clock in the morning. Has he stolen the same picture but zoomed in? Oh no, there's a slightly different photo. But yeah, look, there's the glamour of being an F1 journalist for you. But I think that's about us done. The journalists are going back home. Let's see if we're going to get a proper statement. F2 drivers did not notice new visibility screens added around Jeddah circuit. Yeah, evidently. Evidently. Checo pretty much confirms it. Yeah, there you go. But that's the thing. We're seeing Pierre Gasly saying all the drivers are united in their view, and then Checo tweeting, "Yeah, let's get racing." So it's like, okay, but Perez, but Gasly was very much seemed against it. So I don't know here. Hamilton pushing for a boycott so they can get another week of development. Lol. I mean, there could be an element of that, but no, I think in Lewis's case, he's standing up for his principles there. Yeah, for Lewis, that's his principles. Many other drivers on the grid, I'd probably say, yeah, it's development, but no, for Lewis, that's what he genuinely believes. He'll say that. This attack isn't reason to cancel the race. Houthi don't attack civilians. Exactly, spot on, Sarah. That's what I've been saying quite a bit. We shouldn't be racing here in the first place, but there's no added risk because of the Houthis. We just shouldn't be racing here because of how awful the Saudi regime is. I'm going to go missing in my sleep, aren't I? If I never stream again, the Saudis have got me. I cannot. I'm going to be added on a list, aren't I? I'm not going to be allowed to go to Saudi Arabia. A bit of a different question based on a current topic, but what do you think of racing in Vegas? Look, for US Grand Prix, I can see why they want to go down that route, because it's a big country. But, I don't know, it's a market they want to expand into, but look, there's so many better options than a Las Vegas night race. You know, it's so bad for the US audience, for the European audience as well. I don't know, it seems pointless to me. But, you know, they'll do what they can to expand into a new market. That's the reason we're in Saudi Arabia in the first place. Oh, stream gone. Stream gone again, or is it back? Gone about. I can turn Sky Sports News off now, actually. That's probably what's using a bit of Wi-Fi. But yeah, I don't check who does his tweets. I doubt Checo does it. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Checo would have tweeted it, would he? But yeah, no, I think that about does us for tonight. I can't see any news coming out now. We've gone an extra 15 minutes since we sort of said we would. We haven't had another update, so I guess that's us done for the night. Look, if anything dramatic happens tomorrow, I'll go straight live with it. We'll be discussing it. But yeah, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the stream, all the fun stuff like that really helps out. Really will mean a lot. There we go. Yeah, all good. Okay, and before my Wi-Fi just decides to completely turn off, I think it's about time we end. So guys, thank you so much. As ever, you've all been absolutely fantastic in the chat as well. Stream kill for me. Stream kill for me, but I think my internet... No, it's probably mine, Morgan. Mine is equally effed as yours. But yeah, like I say, guys, cheers, thank you so much. And yeah, do all the swanky like and subscribe stuff. And yeah, ring the notification bell as well. And I don't like ending streams. I enjoy them too much. No stream dying. Yeah. Like I say, apologies for that. It will be better in the coming weeks, days, years, whatever. It doesn't make sense for me to only have a couple of GPs in the US, one country, one GP. Morgan, no. Morgan, stop. Morgan, you can't call me that on stream, okay? I just joined. Can you quickly tell me what's happening? Yeah, okay, look. Just before we end, last words. So what happened? Houthi rebels, who are like an Iranian-backed militia group, launched a ballistic missile at a Saudi Aramco oil... I just heard a noise from the hallway, that's scary. A Saudi oil refinery. Aramco, you'll know them from F1, obviously. Bye, thanks for life. No worries, Olivia. No worries at all. See you around. See you all later. And yeah, so in FP1 that happened. FP2, just before, the drivers and teams had a little bit of a meeting and decided the race was fine to go ahead. And then the drivers were in a 4.5-hour discussion post FP2, some of them remaining in their race suits the whole time. And I think the saga isn't over yet. Some of the drivers, I think, are very adverse to racing here. But we'll have to see which ones. We'll have to see what ends up happening. But that's all, I would say tomorrow, but a little bit later today. So, like I say, guys, thank you so much. Good night. See you tomorrow where we do cancel, exactly. Will they boycott China when they go to Taiwan? Bye, thanks for live. No problem at all. Much better stream than WTF1. Thank you so much. We'll beat them one day, guys. We'll beat them. We won't. We're never going to beat them, but you know, you never know. If they ask me to join, I'll do it and plug myself. Yeah, that's a great idea. But no, all good. Sleep well. Yeah, you two guys, all of you two. I hope you all have a great night, whatever you're going to end up doing. It's been great to chat with you all, and I hope you all enjoy the race. There's a decent chance I won't go live pre or post quali unless anything really dramatic happens. For the race, I will get some like post-race chatting and maybe some pre-race stuff as well if this whole protest thing's still a big debate. But I'll try to get a video or two up, and we're going to start doing the videos a lot more regularly as well. But yeah, join the Discord server, like I say, top link in the description, and you can keep in touch, Russell. Any updates I see will be posted there, or follow me on Twitter at RaceBeaconYT, and you'll get all of the updates, all of my opinions as they happen. But I will finally end the stream now. I'll do one last check of Twitter, just in case we get something. Saudi Arabia Grand Prix is expected to go ahead as planned after hours of meetings following a missile attack near the track in Jeddah. And yeah, there we go. That's all we've got. That is all we've got. So until some new news starts breaking, until next time, goodbye. Where the hell's the spinning bit? I've got too many bits open on OBS. This is horrific.